welcome all to the Snail Trail 4x4 podcast. If you like going off-roading in Toyotas, wrenching on Toyotas, camping in Toyotas, maybe poking a little bit of fun at Toyotas, and of course, hearing about how awesome an off-road company is for saving the overland community, then this is the podcast for you. Hey everybody, I am standing in my master bedroom doing this intro as Tyler is off gallivanting at Trail Hero. I did an excellent interview for you guys today, and we'll get into that in a little bit, but I was going to record in my new office, which is exciting that I have a dedicated office, no longer a playroom, but that room was super echoey, so I'm going to need to figure out some stuff to solve that problem. So the best place that YouTubers and podcasters know is the closet, because there's so much stuff in here. It does deaden the noise. So that's where I am. I'm standing in my closet. I'm talking to our clothes and you, of course. Today we have a fun interview, but before we do, I do need to get into some quick housekeeping. This month's giveaway is with us, Snail Trail 4x4. We are giving away 2 of the gift boxes. These gift boxes are outstanding, but I can't tell you about them right now because they are not out yet. And I do apologize for that. That was primarily my fault because I just got super busy with life and the move. But everything is done. I am hoping, fingers crossed, that they're either out by now or very, very soon. It depends on where I can get back down to the studio to make the boxes up for everybody. But 2 gift boxes are going out to 2 lucky individuals. And if you want to get entered for that, you can do that over on iRate 4x4. Scroll down to the watch, listen, discuss section. Click on Snail Trail 4x4 podcast. It's the first one because it's the best one. And then on the right side on your desktop or the bottom, scroll down to the bottom on a mobile, you can find the sign up options there. The gift box tier is open for this month only. And this is the only month for the rest of the year that it is open. It opens twice a year, April and October. So if you want to get a gift box from us, we send them out twice a year. This is one of the 2 times that you can enter. So get over to iRate 4x4, sign up there, and get in for that gift box tier. Just a quick reminder for everybody, if you are switching tiers, if you're currently in the giveaway tier and you want to move up or you want to move down one way or another, you do have to go over to your PayPal account, go over to your subscriptions within that PayPal account and cancel your current subscription. Then you go over to iRate and you sign up for whichever tier you want. We cannot do it. This is all through you and your PayPal account. So please make sure to go over there, discontinue, unsubscribe for the current tier, and then sign up for the next one if you are changing tiers. Also, a reminder about Patreon. We are currently in the process of canceling Patreon. So if you're over there, cancel whatever you got going on and move over to iRate 4x4. I will be sending you guys an email. I will send you a how-to so that you guys don't have any problems. If you want to move over from Patreon to iRate 4x4, there shouldn't be any issues. Tyler and I are both here to be able to help you if you do have any questions. Since we didn't say this at the end of the episode, you can get in touch with Tyler and I at Tyler or Jimmy at snailtrail4x4.com. You can find me over at Snail Trail 4x4 on Instagram. Tyler's at 4x4 Toyota Tyler. So hit us up anytime if you have any questions about that move. Just one other update that I can think of, and that is the reviews. We love getting your guys' reviews. It is probably the number 2 way to help out the podcast. Of course, number 1 is sharing it by yourself, talking to friends, telling everybody about it. Talk to that person in the car next to you right now and tell them about Snail Trail 4x4 podcast. That is number 1. Number 2 is reviews. The more reviews that happen, the more the monkeys over at iTunes or whatever company is out there promotes the podcast and we rise up in the charts. Leave us a review, any review you want, and we are giving away a set of Yokohama tires at 750 reviews. Currently, we're right around 600. I think we're coming up soon to 600 reviews. And at 600 reviews, we're giving away a swag pack. At 650 reviews, we're giving away another swag pack. 700 are giving away a swag pack. And then at 750 reviews, we are going to be giving away those tires. Please get in there, enter or write a review. You can enter multiple times, enter as many times as you want if you can figure it out. And you can get the opportunity to win some cool stuff from us or a nice set of tires. All right, I think that's all the updates for today. We do have a fun interview for you. We have some really interesting things happening in the off-road overland community right now. A while ago, I don't know if you guys know, but there was a company called Pelfrey Built, and they kind of disappeared and left a lot of people upset because a lot of people had orders with them. And it was a major fiasco. And well, right now, ladies and gentlemen, we're having that happen again. Another company that had some orders in for some very expensive stuff just disappeared. No longer answering emails, no longer calling people back, no longer responding, no longer owns their warehouse, all kinds of craziness happening. And our friend Jerry over at Bay Area Metal Fab, or BAMF, is stepping in to help. So I wanted to give Jerry some spotlight time because he's helping out the community once again. So you're going to hear all about that right here in this episode. So big thanks to Jerry from Bay Area Metal Fab for joining us on this episode, and a massive thanks for helping out the community and keeping people honest. So sit back, ladies and gentlemen, grab your favorite drinks, maybe some popcorn, and I hope you enjoy this fireside chat with Jerry from Bay Area Metal Fab.
Do you want to put a Super Duty axle under a 4Runner or an FJ80 axle under a mini truck? At 4 Wheel Underground, we've designed and engineered the fitment, durability, predictability, and drivability for just about any axle you want to put under a Toyota off-road vehicle. Start your adventure with our suspension builder page over at 4wheelunderground.com.
Welcome back, ladies and gentle ladies out there. I hope everybody is doing fantastic. I am down in Benicia. Where are we in Benicia?
We are, yes.
Okay, yeah. I drove past the mothball fleet over there. I got to see some old battleships and whatever else kind of military ships are over there. It's kind of fun to always peek at them. They seem to be getting less and less these days.
They are, yeah.
Interesting. Well, that voice you guys are hearing on the other side of the mic is Jerry from Bay Area Metal Fab. How are you doing today, Jerry?
Great. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for asking. Not many actually people reciprocate and ask me that question, so I appreciate that. Yeah. Jerry runs a fab shop out of Benicia that makes all kinds of products, from bumpers to rock sliders to skid plates to... Do you do any suspension stuff?
I mean, we make tabs and brackets when it comes to suspension, but we're not really in the suspension game per se. Like, we don't make long travel or control arms.
Okay.
We might do control arms for the Broncos at some point just because of how easy they are, and the new Tacoma maybe.
Hinting at some future stuff.
It's linked. So.
Already. Yeah, true that. Definitely. You started, to my knowledge, you started off in the Tacoma realm. Why don't you give us a brief elevator pitch of BAMF and how the company came about?
Well, I really just kind of fell into it. So a friend of mine wanted a bed rack to be built for his Tacoma. And I used to tinker around in the garage. We'd have mod days at the house and do cab mount chops and put lifts on and do all that stuff. This was back in 2010, 2009. And a buddy asked me if I could build a bed rack. And I told him physically I could, but I don't have any equipment to do so. I have a welder. I could weld it for you.
Yeah.
And he said, so if I buy a tube bender and all the tubing, would you build me a bed rack? And I'll just give you the tube bender after we're done. This was just like a manual tube bender. You know, it's a couple $100 to buy.
Right.
And I was like, hell yeah, let's do it. So we built the bed rack, and then posted on Tacoma World. Another person asked, hey, can you make me one? Hey, what can you make for me? What can you make for me? And then all these guys start asking me, you can make things?
Of course. Yeah.
So all the guys were having us make things at mod days, and it just kind of snowballed. So I was working for GSA in San Francisco at the Philip Burton Federal Building.
Okay. I don't know anything about that.
It's a boring job.
Got it.
Yeah. Government doing back file conversion, scanning documents.
Sounds like a blast.
Building blueprints. Like I've seen a lot of federal building blueprints.
Got it. Okay.
Long time ago. And then I was just doing it in my garage. So I would do brackets here, rock sliders, little things with tubing here and there. And then I designed the diff skid for the Tacomas for the 8-inch diff.
Yeah.
And did a group buy on Tacoma World. It snowballed into this huge thing where we sold like 200 diff skids. It was crazy. I was like, okay, I'm not going to manually cut all these. Like back then you couldn't go and get laser cut things. You couldn't go on Instagram or Facebook and have your parts laser cut. Like there wasn't stuff around like that. There was companies that had big laser cutters, but they weren't job shops that would just go and cut like 40, 50 parts for somebody. Like you had to come there with volume or they weren't even going to talk to you.
Got it. Okay.
So I looked into the Torchmate plasma.
Yeah.
And I bought myself a small Torchmate, built all those and literally just kind of built a small following on Tacoma World, building parts as I go and designing things, pretty much rock sliders for like the first year and a half. We were just doing hundreds and hundreds of rock sliders. Everybody was buying them in the beginning.
Awesome. Well, that sounds like a fun start. Let's move even farther backwards.
Okay.
Did you grow up in this area? Like, let's learn a little bit about,
well, I grew up in your area actually.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I was born in Roseville Hospital.
Okay.
And I grew up in Carmichael.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I grew up off of Manzanita in Carmichael.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Moved down here for work when I was transferred to the federal building.
Right.
And my wife was my boss and is now my boss.
Okay.
But she was my boss in the city. And then I quit working there and started doing this because it got overwhelming.
Yeah. She's still your boss though.
Correct. Yeah. Like she was my actual like paid boss. Like
you guys were breaking the rules, huh?
Well, kinda. So it was a gray area. So I worked in Sacramento. She was in the Bay Area. She came up for training. And
you saw her.
It was, I mean,
it was love at first sight.
It was dinners and like, cause I work nights. So I was training her in the evening and we're going out and having dinner and all this crap. So we're getting to know each other and, one thing led to another and
that's awesome.
Yeah. And then I got transferred down there and I ended up moving down there. So
yeah. And
that's what got me to the Bay Area. And I never came back because the weather's too damn good.
It's pretty nice. It was cold up in Sacramento today. I come down here, I'm like, oh my gosh, I can take my sweater off. This is nice. But so that's what brought you to the Bay. Are we still technically in the Bay Area?
Yeah.
This is like, what would this be considered? Like northeast Bay?
We're considered like the very south tip of the North Bay, apparently.
Okay. It's very south tip of North Bay.
Yeah. Just because of the bridge separation.
Right. Okay. That makes sense. So what got you into off-roading?
Kind of buying the Tacoma.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I bought the first gen Tacoma, which I still have, and bought it for just to go to the snow, to go snowboarding is really what we bought it for.
Okay.
And just started modifying it. And then once we started getting into the Tacoma groups is when I started going off-roading with the guys and getting more into the off-road stuff. And that's when it started getting crazy because I was like, ooh, all right, I'm going to start making all this and doing this. And
yeah. So what was your ski ranch of choice?
At the time, it was Heavenly.
Ooh, okay. Yeah. Nice. I've always been a Sugar Bowl fan.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I even worked there for a very short stint. I thought it was the best idea ever. It was like my senior year of high school. And I was like, oh, work there. And then I get to snowboard for free. It's going to be fantastic. And then since I was in school, the only time that I could work was weekends. So then I didn't get to snowboard at all. So I was ever just traveling up there to work. It was actually a really bad idea at the time.
Yeah, that's what was funny because it's like I bought the Tacoma for snowboarding and we only did like 2 season passes.
Sure.
And then after that, I was chopping my truck in half and doing the solid axle swap and just doing all kinds of stuff to it by then, to where it was like we never really went back to the snow in that. It was like I had another vehicle by the time I started going back snowboarding again.
Yeah. So why don't you tell us about everything you've kind of done to your first gen Tacoma?
Well, quite a bit under it. So like, I mean, as for body work, the body is pretty much factory.
Okay.
It's the bed's falling apart. I gotta pull the bed off completely. But solid axle front and rear swap. I cut the cab, or not cut the cab, but I cut the frame at the firewall and at the back of the cab. So so from the back of the cab all the way back is all fabricated, and from the firewall forward is all fabricated, and it's all 2x3 120. No, I think it did 3/16 wall. We It's extremely heavy.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at the rear axle, it's ridiculous. With tires mounted on it, I think it's like 600 pounds.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. The rear axle's nuts.
Wow. What axles are you running?
Spider tracks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Those are fun, fancy axles.
Yeah. They were extremely cheap to acquire and costly to build.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I picked up the axles secondhand, but they were bare axles. And I was like, oh yeah, score, I got this. And then I realized how much it was going to cost to build them out. And I was like, oh, so it definitely took a good 6-8 months of collecting parts before I could even start the project.
Right. Yeah. What suspension are you running?
The Ori struts.
Okay.
Yeah.
And linked?
Yeah. Front and rear.
Front and rear.
Yeah,
three links?
3 link front and rear. Yeah. So I kept the gas tank in the factory location. And I got a lot of shit for it on Pirate back in the day, but I put almost 100,000 miles on that truck. And I guarantee you half the guys on Pirate can't keep up with me on the highway.
Right. Yeah. I think the myth about 3-linked rear is that there's a weird like suspension sort of hop, but if you build it kind of correctly, it's not an issue.
I feel it. I know what people are talking about.
Yeah.
So the go fast guys are usually the guys that talk a lot of shit about it. And I feel it when I'm going fast, I can feel it, but I mean, I could still almost keep up with some of the long travel trucks that I follow behind. I mean, some of the guys are just like, geez, dude, you're actually kind of keeping up with me. And I was like, oh, well, I'm just trying to keep up as much as I can until I break it.
Right. Yeah.
You know, cause some of those guys are hauling ass.
Right. Absolutely. And that's go fast desert stuff.
Yeah. Exactly.
Because with the Panhard bar swinging, it kind of swings the axle a little bit.
Yeah.
Where if you're on the road, you're not flexing that much. It's not going to be a concern.
Yeah. On the road, it's totally fine.
Right.
Yeah, and no sway bars. And I mean, I could take off ramps way faster than most people take an off ramp.
Yeah. Interesting.
It handles pretty well, except for the blown shock that's on there right now.
How'd that happen?
I don't know. I was just driving it and
trying to keep up with that long travel.
No,
guy.
I was on the highway.
Oh,
I was on and off ramp. I went around the corner. And when I got to the end of the off ramp, the whole truck was still leaning. And I was all the way on the bump stop in one corner. Oh, yeah. Thankfully, it was here in Benicia. So
there you go.
It was a quick drive.
Mine does that, but I'm on leaf spring. So it's like whatever way the wheels turn, my truck just continues to lean that way.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny.
The first time it's happened. So I've had those on the truck since 2014 or 2013.
Oh, wow. Long time.
And never have left me on the bump stops once, except for that one time.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. You like those struts?
Yeah. For the most part, they're pretty good, except for if it's over 100 degrees. So if I'm traveling up to like the Rubicon in the middle of the summer and it's 100 degrees going up the hill, you can feel it bouncing on the highway. Once you're going slow, it's fine. But at high speed, they're old. I mean, they're 2013, 2014. Yeah. And all I've done is changed oil on them. Okay. So no rebuilds or anything. Right. So and they still run pretty good, except for that one. They're
an interesting setup because they have both the limit strap and the bump stop sort of built into them.
Correct. Yeah.
You know, and it looks like an air shock. There's no coils, right? Because it's just a fluid transfer inside. They're a really kind of a interesting setup that I think's overlooked in the industry. Yeah. They cost a lot. So I think a lot of people are like, I don't want to do it.
It's a lot of moving parts, I think. So my shock buddies hate them just because of how many parts. That's the only reason I haven't broke it open, because of all the internals. Right. I'm like, I'll rebuild it. I have the rebuild kit to rebuild the shock. And I'm going to add the integrated reservoirs on all four corners. I might as well upgrade it if I'm ripping them apart, right? And I just haven't done it. Sure. I get it. Yeah. I think a lot of people stay away because the price is a little high, but the thing is you're getting bump stops and you're getting limit straps all in the same package. So if you figure that price out, I think it really kind of makes sense. Yeah. And you don't have to run a sway bar. As long as you're set up properly. Yeah. I don't run sway bars. I mean, it'll have a little bit of lift on it when I accelerate, but in corners, like the faster I take the corner, the flatter the truck stays. Oh, I was going to see, do you pull that tire off the ground when you? I can when I pull off of the line. If I dump the clutch and try to burn the tires, the whole front end will lift up, and the axles are heavy enough to keep the tires down there. Nice. Yeah, those spider tracks are beef. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no issues with those. I've never had a single problem. Yeah. Ring gear is the only problem I've ever had on the axles. Really? Yeah. Are you running the 9s? Yeah. 4 9-inch. Yeah. And it was shock loading right out here. Oh. Yeah. Being dumb. That happens. You're getting too much traction, something's got to give. Yeah. You try to burn rubber locked with 37s and things tend to explode. Yeah. Right.
It doesn't like it.
No.
Oh, that's funny. Did you burn the rubber or did it break first?
Oh no, I was burning the tires all the way down the street. And I didn't realize that I'd pulled teeth off the ring gear until like a couple days after I was getting a whine.
You're getting or a clunk or a
I didn't even get a clunk. I kind of clunked when I was burning the tires, but I didn't get a clunk driving it. It was driving okay, but I was whining.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Oh.
Didn't break enough teeth to cause too much of a noise. Like I probably would have drove it for a little while longer if I didn't get on the highway and notice the humming rear diff. And I'm like, oh yeah, I did something there.
That's crazy. What engine's in that?
It's stock. Yeah.
Really? The 3.4?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Supercharged.
It still burns the tires and
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
What
529 gears with the supercharger and the URD kit. So it's got the smaller pulley and the 7th injector.
Wow.
And I mean, for a tiny little Toyota engine, it gets up and goes.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow.
It surprises people sometimes. Like I've had a few guys following me when I'm pulling the trailer and they're just like, how are you pulling away from us on this hill? I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah. That's wild. Speaking of pulling away, you also have a Bronco.
Yeah.
And I think I was hanging out with you at P&W Expo, or excuse me, the Flagstaff Expo West. Is that West? Yeah, I think that's West. And you were telling, that was 2 or 3 years ago now. And you're telling me how that you were driving the new Bronco there and you were pulling your trailer and you were passing people on the highway because it just was pulling so well.
Multiple times.
Yeah. Why don't you talk about the Bronco?
I mean, the Bronco's great. The market hasn't been as great as the Toyota market is.
Okay.
I just think the saturation got to it really quick.
Yes.
So a lot of the Jeep industry picked up the Bronco market.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not as big as what we would like it to be. But as far as a vehicle, I think the Bronco's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's fun. I mean, obviously we got 2 of them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. We
That's
have,
right. You
I got
one at a lot and you had one ordered, right?
Yeah. I got kind of they tried to hose me on the deal on my order. So I just turned around and bought a second one because that's a long story.
It's a middle finger right there.
That's a long story in itself, but they charged me over on a Bronco that was on the lot and tried to change my custom order. And I told them to screw off and bought the order they changed too.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. Cause Ford sent me an email saying that my new Bronco is being built. And I said, okay, cool. And accepted the purchase and purchased that one and ended up getting it at MSRP in 2021 when they weren't allowing any MSRP on anything.
Right.
But I had to pay extra on the first one. Yeah.
That Tyler, you know Tyler, but the other co-host typically on the podcast, he got screwed over a few times kind of by Bronco or Ford with the Bronco build and stuff. And eventually he's just like, screw you. And he went out and bought one. Yeah. He bought the one he wanted for the most part. So it's minus the color. So it was just sort of like, why is Ford screwing around with that when there's one available right over here, and it all worked out in the end. But but you also make parts for the Bronco? Yeah. Yeah. A couple now. I mean, front bumper, I do a soft top, like hidden roof rack. Oh, cool. So yeah, it's something that you can actually close the top over the rack. It was more for like the beach guys or the part-time rack users. Yeah. Like, so you're trying to go to Costco and pick up an 80-inch TV and you can't fit it in your Bronco. You can just throw it on top of the rack. Or I've picked up lumber at Home Depot and tossed it on the rack. You just fold the top back and toss the lumber on and then close it right back over the top. Got it. And then I don't have a hideous rack on the top of it. And in the summertime, you could put a rooftop tent on there if you wanted to. Okay. Yeah. Nice. Yeah. But for the most part, we haven't really made too many parts for the Bronco, but a couple here and there. Right. Yeah. The bumpers do okay. Okay. So, but the Tacoma's your primary. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Nice. Yeah. I mean, we've been in the Tacoma game for over a decade now. So that's. Yeah, I know. I saw somebody online the other day. They were reselling one of your products, but they were on the East Coast. I'm like, damn, like they're everywhere. It's awesome. Yeah. We don't have too many resellers, not many that restock, especially after COVID. Like the whole stocking thing kind of stopped once COVID hit and none of these dealers. I think maybe reseller was the wrong word. It was like somebody selling it on Facebook Marketplace. Yeah, definitely. But it was all the way over there. And I'm like, well, one, why is my search query all the way hitting the East Coast? But two, it was awesome to see your product was all the way on the East Coast as well. But I would like to go back in time a little bit within BAMF's history and talk a little bit about the Pelfrey stuff that went on, because I know you had some very interesting situations go on with that company and kind of helped out a lot of that community that did purchase some of their products. Can you first start us off with talking about what happened with Pelfrey and kind of give a little backstory of that from your knowledge of what you know? Because I don't know enough about it.
No, so you weren't doing this back when they were around.
No, here's what I know is they built a pretty cool product. A lot of people are interested in it. A lot of people people were ordering the product and sending them some amount of money. And then they kind of were like, buy, and left the chat and kept the money and then left a lot of people hanging. So correct me or fill in what I know.
I don't think it kind of went down exactly like that. It was more of failed business practices. So they outsourced absolutely everything.
Oh,
so we found out a lot of this stuff once we got possession of the Wearhouse.
Right.
They didn't manufacture anything really. They had one welding table and a single welder. And I think it was towards the end of their life that they brought stuff in-house because they didn't have any money to
outsource it,
to have the welders weld it. Yeah.
Okay.
But they just kind of ran out of money from what I understand. I mean, they use the same motto as pretty much every company in the industry now is you're paying up front and you're ordering a product and then you're getting a product in a couple months or a couple weeks or quite a few weeks for some of the cases.
Right.
The thing they were doing different is they were doing large group buys. They were doing forum group buys and Instagram group buys where they would have 150, 200 people order all at the same time and they're all paying up front.
Right.
So they had all this capital come up front. And then I just don't know if they mismanaged money. I mean, they spent $50,000, $60,000 on a commercial that never even made it onto the TV.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Like that. They were great marketers. So they marketed themselves great. I mean, they had a really big following on Instagram. Their YouTube page was starting to get big. And I mean, this is before all this stuff kind of blew up. You know, back when having 100,000 followers on Instagram was like a really big thing, you know,
right.
Now you can buy them nowadays.
Yeah. You shouldn't, but yes.
Yeah, I know. But it's like, it's kind of how it is on some of this stuff.
Okay.
But it was like from what I understand, a big mismanagement of funds. And they got so far behind on bills that their vendors said no. Like their shipping vendor, I think, was the biggest one. So one of their employees told me that this is the most product they ever had on their floor the entire time they were in business.
Wow.
When we took possession of it. Yeah. Like the most product there because their freight vendor wouldn't ship any more product.
Because they weren't paying that bill?
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. So most of the freight vendors are like net 45, you know.
Sure.
So you have a little bit of time to pay the bill, but they were so far behind with all of their vendors. They're like, yeah, we'll pick up product, but you got to pay COD when we pick up the product.
Sure.
You know, and we got to start taking care of previous balance at the same time.
Right.
That was the first thing. And then the manufacturer that built their parts said, nah, I'm not going to give you these parts until you at least pay this outstanding invoice.
Yes.
So then it got to the point where they couldn't get parts in, they couldn't get parts out. And I think just the internet kind of got involved where people started talking and they had a big enough following where a lot of people talked about problems. So then you had people canceling orders and doing this and doing that. And then Satin, which was one of the owners, which is Tyler Pelfrey's wife, kind of went off on everybody online. Oh, no. Yeah, blaming the customers for their shortcomings and just kind of just going off and on a tangent, which led to like mass people. It was like a bank run of people, and they probably had 500-600 back orders of stuff.
Oh, crap.
If not more. Like I don't even know any of the financial stuff when it comes to how many people they had on back order because they purged all the hard drives.
Oh, serious?
Yeah. So there was no computers with anything on the hard drives. Like the hard drives were just like a blank Windows screen with a couple things installed on them. So like somebody went through and just formatted everything off of the drives. There was only one or two computers in the whole place, but they just kind of deleted it all.
Wow.
So, and they just they skipped town from what I understand. Yeah. And a couple employees stayed there and kept the doors open for a couple weeks, if not months. And then finally the building owner said, nope, you got to get out and closed it all down. And
were those employees arrogant? Like, did they not understand what was kind of going on, or did they feel bad?
So I hired, I don't know, 4 or 5 of them when we got down there.
Oh, really?
So yeah, a lot of people contacted me when all this went down. So once we won the auction, on our way down there, where I was contacted by a bunch of people, and a couple of the employees contacted me, said that they want to come down and lend a hand and let us know. So they came down and told us what was what.
Got it. All right. Time out. Hold on. What auction? What do you mean?
Oh yeah. So you didn't hear about that part. Let's back up. Okay. So after they filed bankruptcy, it went viral on Tacoma World. Like this, you can go look it up on, I don't know if you've read the Chapter 7 thread on Tacoma World.
I haven't. No.
So it's archived now.
Yeah.
They finally archived, but there's a couple hundred pages of the Pelfreys filing Chapter 7 bankruptcy.
Wow.
Or Chapter 11, whatever they filed. They filed bankruptcy and just left. And it was like the million something bankruptcy that was over $1 million that they filed, and then they took off and named all of their customers in the bankruptcy. So all the people that had an order in were named, and it just went crazy on the forums, and everybody was talking about it for months, and then it all just kind of disappeared.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden someone posted like, hey, this looks like Pelfrey stuff. And it was an auction site.
Yeah.
And someone was posting on the forum that there was an auction coming up for a warehouse, and look at these pictures. And everybody started looking through the pictures, and I looked at the pictures, and I'm like, dude, that's the Pelfrey warehouse.
Yeah.
Like that's Pelfrey Built right there.
Okay.
They don't say what the business is when it's at auction. It's just a bunch of truck bumpers.
Yeah. Or they say it's a warehouse that manufactured parts or something. They say something generic.
Yeah. So it was a generic auction. The whole warehouse, it's like 12,000 square foot. Bidding started at $5,000.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're just like, okay, yeah, I'm getting involved in this. Yeah. So I signed up and started watching it, and then the auction starts and it starts getting crazy. So we had a set limit of where we were going to go budget wise.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we just started going to town, going back and forth, and it went up high into the 5 figures really quick. And then it kind of just twinkled off for a minute and just hovered. And then somebody else jumped in. You're probably listening and you know who you are.
Maybe. Yeah.
I'm sure he listens, or somebody he knows listens.
Sure.
But, started bidding it up very, very quickly.
Okay.
And it started going up high and higher and higher and higher. And we started getting over 6 figures. And then I started making phone calls. And once we hit our max, I kind of just gave up.
Yeah.
And a couple other people were going back and forth. And I was making phone calls at the same time, calling friends and like, you want to get involved in this, dude? This is something that we can do to help out the community. And I got a couple buddies saying like, yeah, I'll get involved. Okay. So I just went in and set what my max bid would be with the people that I had involved, and just walked away. And left my office.
Right.
And you could see
you either wanted or not at that point.
You could see the 2 guys that were fighting over it, and they would bid, and I instantly outbid them because my bid was so much higher as the max bid. And it just kept going. And they got it up and up, and they probably added another $15,000, $20,000 to it.
Oh my gosh,
before they finally gave up and left. And then once I heard the ding on the computer, I walked back in and seen that we had taken the high bid on the auction.
Okay.
So so we won the auction, and we won everything in the warehouse.
Okay. Wow.
So it was the whole warehouse was abandoned, and they just take it all. You have 72 hours to empty this warehouse. Come down here and get it.
Wow. Okay. So what was in the warehouse? Or wait, I believe there's even a fun story about getting into the warehouse. Did I hear something like you had to like try to break in because there was nobody around, or was that not true?
Well, I think people did try to break in.
Oh, okay.
I think there's stories of actual customers trying to do a break and entering and get their product.
Got it. Maybe that's what I was mishearing.
Yeah. I think there was actual people that were so pissed that they were trying to actually go in there, because people that work there were just like, there's stuff sitting here, Yeah. And they're telling people that stuff is sitting here. So,
okay. So you went down, they're in Southern California?
Yeah, they were in San Diego.
Okay. So you went down. Oh yeah. And you got into the warehouse. So what was there? You said a few computers, some employees.
Well, there was no employees there, but as far as office stuff, they kind of cleared out the office, and there was a couple admin computers that were left.
Right.
Like anything that was belonging to either one of the owners, their offices were cleared out paperwork wise. They took all the paperwork and everything too. Like everything was cleared out as far as that aspect. Like nothing was left in the office, but the warehouse was left untouched.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So everything was in there. There was hundreds of finished bumpers, all like half of them were on pallets.
Oh, really?
Like ready to ship.
Like ready to go out.
Ready to ship. And that's when I was just like, okay, something's got to happen. So that's when I started looking and I was just like, okay, I'm going to start contacting people. And we just started making phone calls and sending emails and talking to the people that had their bumpers sitting right there. Like their bill of lading was sitting on their tag. Everything was right there. So I had all their info.
Wow. Oh yeah. So,
yeah. Like
everything's
ready.
on.
It was ready to ship. Like we're calling them and they're like, hey, well, this first couple guys are like, well, I got my money back. You know, like my bank gave me my money back. He's like, but I'll buy my bumper if it's there. I'm like, dude, your order is sitting right here. Like I will sell it to you pennies on the dollar for that. You know? So then we started selling back the stuff that people had gotten their money back. And then people that were still just hosed over the whole thing, we tried to give them the best possible price that we could do to get them the product that was theirs.
Right. Yeah. And so from that, my understanding is that you kind of were really trying to give back to the community at that point, right? You got all these bumpers. There's hundreds of bumpers there. There's a bunch, probably some manufacturing equipment there.
None.
None?
No.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Because they were just outsourcing everything.
Yeah.
Oh, bummer. Could you see that from the photos or stuff from the?
Yeah. So I could see when I went through all the photos, I knew that it wasn't a manufacturing facility just because I have one. So I know what it takes to manufacture these parts.
Right.
And they just didn't have it there. Like they had welding stations,
sure, but
they weren't processing their own material.
Right.
They weren't bringing in raw goods at all. They were bringing in, if anything, it was pre-cut, pre-formed because they didn't even have any sort of forming capabilities there. No tube bending. No press brake, none of that.
From the photos, you just saw a bunch of bumpers?
Correct, yeah.
Okay, so your intent for the most part was to get in there, get the bumpers, and try to give them back to the people.
Yeah. Yeah, for the most part, it was, well, there was a lot of unfinished stuff too. So there's a lot, hell, I still have it. A lot of the stuff was like unfinished to where they were buying like partial bumpers. I feel like they were buying from the manufacturer. So they'd buy a center section and then they would add the outside to it depending on what the order was, whether it was a second gen or
the center section was kind of the same on all platforms. And then the outside parts of the bumper were kind of determined by what vehicle it was going on.
Well, they were mostly Tacoma and Forerunner stuff.
Yeah.
But the Tacoma bumpers, the second gens in general, like they had the same center portion of it. And then some of them were hybrid where it was the tubes on the outside and then it would be plates on the outside for some of them.
Sure.
So it's kind of the same concept where most of the manufacturers reuse like the same center section of the bumper and then just build out a wing section on the bumper to fill out to finish the bumper out.
Right. So did you take all these partials or the vast majority of these partials and start making bumpers for customers that had an invoice or had a payment out there that never got fulfilled?
No, there wasn't enough to finish that much. Like we finished, like everybody that wanted their stuff pretty much got what they ordered. And most of the people were to the point where they were just like, I don't even want it. And they got their money back. So thankfully a lot of the customers ended up getting refunds from their banks or their credit card company, and they got their money back, and they just didn't get hosed completely, but they just had to deal with a crappy situation. But a few of them were seriously hosed where they had multiple like long travel suspension, all kinds of stuff, winches and lights and all these add-on stuffs that they were never going to get.
Wow. Okay. And so from that experience, what did you gain from that besides helping the community? I mean, which is a big thing, and I'm sure helped your brand. Did you get the knowledge of bumpers at that point, or were you making bumpers at that point? How did that work for you?
Yeah, so we didn't even have a bumper line at the point. So that was one of the biggest reasons why I was okay with losing money on the whole like initial auction. Yeah. So I was like, okay, so if we can get this and bring it over in house, we can bring this line back and hopefully kind of save the community in the process.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what got us into the whole bumper game in general.
Got it. Okay. So you kind of got to recreate their bumper with the little BAMF flare on it.
Yeah, not really. I mean, I took what I liked about their designs and then made it my own. And then a couple of them, it was just like I don't know if they hired different designers in the end, where it was like, we had the samples here. We had no designs, like no computer designs, nothing, no CAD, anything at all.
Right.
You know, we had a few like bend files. So it'd be like a drawing for a bend file. So it's just a flat PDF that shows you the bend lines on each individual blank, which I don't even understand they had, because they didn't have a press break. So I just think they had
somebody sent them the file.
They probably their manufacturer had the file, and they probably sent it to them for QC or something. But that's all we got out of the whole thing. So everything that I took from it was more of just, I liked the look of their bumper. So we took a lot of body lines off it. Yeah, just a lot of body lines. Like I had one of the bumpers in my office for like 6 months after the whole process, and just kind of just staring at it and picking it apart and seeing what I didn't like and liked about it. And and then just kind of made my own from the whole process. And then all the other crap just kind of just let it fall to the wayside.
Got it. And from there, I mean, you've come out with a bunch more products.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it was kind of a step in your business adventure to get into that. And I think it really kind of, it projected you forward, because it showed how you are really helping the community, how you're here for the community. You're not just here for yourself. You know, you did gain a little bit of a benefit of maybe some knowledge or some aesthetics of how something was done, but you know, you gave back, you know, you donated a chunk of your money and you gave a lot of that back to the community.
Yeah, definitely. We didn't break even doing the auction, that's for sure. Like it cost us a lot more than we expected.
Yeah.
Like just the initial win of the auction alone was very costly, and then figuring out how to move a 12,000 square foot facility of metal.
At that point to where what did you weren't here at that point, right?
Oh no, I was here.
You were here?
Oh yeah.
Where we are today?
Yeah.
Okay. And so how big is this place?
14,000.
Okay. So you had the space to kind of move
technically, no, because I only had half of this space at the time. So I was here, but I was only in the other side of the warehouse.
So you had 7,000?
Yeah. So I had just under 7,000 square feet. And when we brought the semis of all the stuff up here that was left over, because we did a big fire sale down there. Because once we got down there, I was like, there's no way that we can transport all this back to Northern California. Like it's going to cost a fortune to move all this stuff. So we just posted on Instagram and Facebook and just told everybody after all the people that needed the assistance, that had the failed orders, that we were having a fire sale. Like everything that's left over, come and get it. Like dirt cheap. We're going to just start selling it.
Wow.
As much as we can. And we had a line out the door for 3 days.
Of course.
Yeah.
Until you ran out of product, kind of.
For the most part. I mean, it was still four 53-foot truckloads.
Dang.
Yeah. And it was 4 80,000 pound truckloads. Like one of the trucks had to stop and take a couple things off because he was overweight.
At a scale.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, yeah, they have to go on the scales to go up north. So they got stopped at the scale and they were a little overweight. So
like, you can't continue.
Yeah.
You're going to break our freeways.
Well, they told me it was for the truckload. So we were going to cram the truck. We filled it.
That's awesome. I wanted to bring that, the Pelfrey story up because, there's something very similar happening in the off-road industry right now. And you're once again, stepping up to the plate to help out. We have, a camper tent company that, makes sort of a camper shell with a pop-up tent on top of it and I don't even know the whole story about it, but to my understanding, they've kind of done something similar to what Pelfrey did. You definitely have more of a background about what's going on. Mm-hmm. And you're once again, like I said, stepping up to the plate to help the community out again. And this is going on right now. Yeah,
this is very current. This has all happened within like the last 10 days.
Yeah.
Like I don't even think it's been 10 days, to be honest with you.
I saw your post on Instagram about what's going on. The company name is Vagabond. Both you and I have met, the owner quite well. I've met him a handful of times. He seemed like a genuinely nice guy.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, he is.
And it's just a shock to see this happen in the industry with this company. And so can you fill us in about what's going on with that? And then we can lead into what you're doing to help.
Well, I mean, I guess it's kind of another thing of not doing your own stuff.
Okay.
Another company outsourcing a lot of their own work. Like, so in the beginning, when they first started the company, they were sourcing the aluminum from us. So we were laser cutting and forming all the drifters that they were making, which was the camper that they built.
Okay. Yeah.
And we did the first 50 of them. And then aluminum took a skyrocket.
Oh, I know.
Right before 2020.
Yeah.
And then I had to reprice everything. I repriced it and he kind of ghosted me.
Oh.
And just disappeared.
Okay.
And I'm like, Phil, what's going on, man? Like, I'm pre-cutting parts. Like, I've got all these drifter parts sitting here because I've been cutting aluminum for other people and I got room on the sheet. I might as well throw some Vagabond parts on there just to make it so I'm not wasting anything.
Yeah.
And finally he gets back to me. He was like, oh yeah. So we found another manufacturer and we're going to go with them because they can do it for this much cheaper than you guys. They're a lot bigger and they can do it for way cheaper. And I was like, okay, so what are we going to do about all the stuff that I've cut, you know?
Yeah.
And he kind of agreed that he was going to purchase it. And some of it's been purchased over time, but a lot of it is still sitting next to my laser.
Oh no.
And that was, 2018, 2019 is when all that happened.
Okay.
And they started using another local vendor here in the Bay Area, which was up north. And they're not even in the off-road industry. It's more of just like a laser fabrication shop is who they found to do it. And they're specialized in aluminum. So they can buy aluminum cheaper. They can process it easier. Like I couldn't come close to meeting their price. I was like, there's no way I'm doing that for that. You know, I was like, you got to give me some kind of cutback if I'm going to be cutting new material and doing it for this price. And then after that, I kind of never heard from him really, you know?
Sure. Okay.
Every once in a while he'd come by and be like, hey man, I need a single part or I need this or I need this.
Yeah, can you help me out with this?
Yeah. So we would get it for him and
the shop
get it done.
The shop was down the road, wasn't it?
They're extremely local. Like they're literally like a mile away.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
2 minutes from here.
Yeah.
My first shop on the other side of the industrial park is on the same street that they're on, like 2 buildings away.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. And it's kind of just been a slow motion closure, it seems like. Oh. So all of us, like as in like the friends in the community around here that know, I've always known that it's been super slow. It's hard to get a hold of Phil. Like it's communication was crap in the beginning when he was trying to take people's money. Yeah. You know, so it's like you realize that the communication is going to get worse when you're trying to hound him to get the product. It's just it was like it's mismanagement, I guess, on his part, that he just got so far behind. And even though the amount of campers that he had on order wasn't that many, like it's under 100 orders, even though it seems like a large number, it's really not that much as far as like assembly and building. It's a lot of money. Yeah. But it's not a lot of actual like physical work. Like he could have done a lot. They could have hustled and built a lot more stuff. Sure. But they kind of just, I don't know. It's weird. He's a great salesman. Yeah.
That seems to be the theme here. Yeah. He's good at sales, good at marketing, not so good at business.
At selling the product. They make a great product. The design's sweet. A lot of people think it's probably one of the better products that are available. It was just unobtainable. Like no one could get it.
Right. Okay. And so slow closure turned into full closure.
Yeah. So, I mean, well, this has all happened. I think this year is when it really got bad, but from the looks of it. So I had, if I back up a little bit before I started seeing all this go down, I had customers contacting me. Oh. So I've had my customers that are buying bumpers email me and say, hey dude, you're close to them. Can I just pay you like for your time or your gas money? Go over there and talk to them. I'm like, what do you want me to do? Am I like strong arm the guy? Like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do here. And it was more than a half a dozen people that called me.
Oh, wow.
You know, and I'm like, this is starting to become a problem. So, you know, just silently, I wanted to go and kind of see if there was serious trouble going on, you know, and I wasn't really in contact with him or anything. So I just started driving by. Every time I go by the welding shop right around the corner, I'd drive by, see what's going on. Doors down every single time. I never seen the doors up one time. Every time I went over there in the past 3.5, maybe 4 months it's been that I kept going over there. And then I start seeing the stuff going down on the forums on the internet. So I just started digging further into it and digging more into it and tried to reach out to some of the previous employees, because I found out from the building owner that Phil's been gone for, I don't know, 3.5, 4 months, and his employees are working for free.
Oh man.
Like they cared so much about the product and the customers that they just sat there and tried to build as many of those campers as they could before they just couldn't afford to pay their own bills. And they finally just had to leave. Like he was never there and just disappeared. So
interesting.
I don't know if it was just like a kind of just give up, walk away type thing or what, but
yeah. Wow. And so you have a little bit of knowledge with aluminum. You have an amazing laser out there that I'm very jealous of. And you're once again coming up and helping out the community. So you're going to make or help make these. Did you get his employees to help it?
So we haven't gained any employees or anything like that. I've gained everything I've acquired another empty warehouse. So
congratulations.
That's kind of the same situation with the Pelfrey thing. Even though this didn't make it to auction, the building owner wanted it gone. Like he's had this facility that's full of this crap for months now.
A few months and nobody's paying on it.
And he wants to rent it out. So apparently he's got him to sign off on everything to trash it.
Wow.
And it's disposed of. And I've just been receiving all of the stuff that's not trash. And they're just junking all the rest of the stuff there. Wow. So I've acquired another warehouse of goods.
Yeah. Okay. And so did aluminum come with that? Because I know his campers were like all aluminum.
All aluminum. Yeah. So it was like when I was cutting it took 5 by 10 sheets with a massive amount of waste.
Okay.
So the shape of the campers in general created so much waste that we had to figure out what else to cut to fill the void. Like, so you'd purchase 5 sheets of material for one camper, just charging that just for that material alone.
Right.
It's a huge lot. That's probably why they were getting a loss in the late, because they were probably just having their campers cut with all the fill and the drop parts not being cut and sold. The laser cutter is working that into the price.
Yeah. So they were not optimized very well with their
because of
aluminum.
The shape. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So you got some aluminum, you have a laser, you're going to start building campers for people.
Yeah. So what we're going to do is we're going to try and help as many as the people that are affected. So as far as we can tell right now, there's 50 people. Some of them have gotten to the point where they're just like, they're done. They don't want to deal with it anyway. Yeah. So they don't want it. Some of them have only given deposits, so they're only partially invested in it and they still want a camper. Mm-hmm. There's still quite a few people that have paid in full.
Oh,
yeah. And that was towards the end. And it was more of a panic thing, I think, is just trying to get payment to
money
keep moving and just not enough to move. When your name is that bad, it's hard to get people to want to trust you. I mean, they've got threads that go back 2.5 years of people saying they can't get their stuff or contact.
Right. That's not not good. Yeah.
Yeah. You got to have some sort of rapport. And I mean, keep your lead times at least under 12 months.
Right. Yeah. I'm not nearly the fabrication side that you guys are, or any other company out there. My product, the Snail Armor products, very simple. And I try to have the product in.
Yeah.
That's my goal is like, if you order it, it's already in stock. I got to send it out. But
mine's
a flat piece of aluminum.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. So that's
there's
the
no
thing
fabrication to it.
Yeah. Flat parts are easy to stock.
Yeah.
When it comes to fabricated parts and building parts, it gets expensive. And that's really why the lead times actually help with the price. Like if this industry was an in stock, we've got it all for you industry, the price would be ridiculous. Like everybody would be paying like Fab 4's ADD prices.
Okay.
Across the board.
Wow.
It would be $3,000 for a bumper because the amount of capital it takes just to keep inventory, inventory that costs this much with this low of a margin. Like the profit margin on a bumper is extremely low. Put it in California in the Bay Area and it disappears even more.
Yeah.
I mean, it gets a lot.
Right. 100%. I fully understand that. So you're doing a few fundraisers or sales.
Yeah. So
benefits
we have all these people that are out a ton of money, and I have the equipment and the know-how to actually do these, but I don't have the funds to go and just hire people and pay employees and just start building campers for
buy
people.
a bunch of aluminum.
Yeah. So,
Right?
I mean, just the aluminum alone is going to be over 6 figures.
Oh, dang.
Yeah. So it's a lot. And I want to invest as much as I can. So I have aluminum parts that I make here. So I'm able to possibly nest in our parts in with those parts and reduce the actual material costs it costs to actually build each camper.
Yeah.
So is what I'm trying to do is just raise funds to bring in some aluminum and help get the process started. So we started like a t-shirt campaign, or selling t-shirts on the website to just try to generate some buzz on the whole situation and the people that are screwed over. Like, we were trying to think of a creative way on how we can get people whole in the situation without saying, sorry that you paid $14,000 for a camper that you bought 5 years ago.
Yeah.
You're going to have to pay more to get it,
Right.
And if we could donate a portion of it, like even just the material portion, it saves a lot,
It
So
helps.
I'm going to donate all of my time, which is next to none at this point, considering I'm working 14 hours a day as it is.
Okay. Yeah.
Like I'll be working evenings and weekends, and I've got just a whole list of people that are like in line wanting to come help. So
that's
like
cool.
physical hands on deck. Like they want to come in and like, I can weld aluminum. Like, I'll come and help you and weld them, and assembly and people that know how to sew that want to help this and that.
That's awesome.
So like the community wants to come together and help in that aspect. And I mean, that's even bigger than a t-shirt, to be honest with you.
Sure. Yeah. Somebody that can weld aluminum is worth a lot of money right there.
Yeah. Physical labor in general. It's a lot of labor to assemble these things.
Sure. Got it. So, besides the t-shirt sales, how does the t-shirt sales work? Let's just talk about that real quick. So somebody can go on your website, buy a t-shirt, percentage of that t-shirt goes to funding for.
Correct. Yeah.
these.
So the t-shirts, all the proceeds from the t-shirts, other than the cost of printing the t-shirts, is going right back to the fund to help these guys. So as soon as we get enough in this fund from either our sales, because I'm going to donate a portion of our sales to this to help these guys out too. So once we get to a certain spot, I'm going to start bringing in material and building campers and laser cutting out the parts in general.
Right. Cool. So you guys you're donating a percentage of the sales of BAMF.
Correct. Yeah.
Stuff as well. Okay.
Yeah. I figured that we could at least give back a little bit. I mean, I can't give back a lot,
Sure.
The profit margins are hard, but we try to give back as much as I can by at least purchasing some material involved. And like when I get an aluminum job, because we're a job shop, so we get a lot of random stuff that comes through the door. So, trying to work in other jobs to help out with that, and just, it eats my profit margin, but it helps out in the long run.
Okay. So excellent. What, is it every product across the board for this, for the percentage going towards helping these people out?
Yeah.
Or is it certain ones or? Well,
I mean, it wouldn't be like certain ones. Like we're just going to donate a percentage of our sales towards as much as we can on the aluminum aspect. So I don't know if it'll be a set percentage that we're donating, but we're just going to donate on top of our sales, on top of the t-shirt sales. Cause I mean, t-shirts are going to generate some buzz, but I mean, you're not going to make 6 figures pulling in t-shirts. Like,
no, t-shirts are pretty minimal in the scheme,
so
but
t-shirts is really just to kind of get the word out and get the ball rolling,
right?
Without a huge capital investment.
Got it.
To get moving. Because once we start making campers, hopefully the people that have only put in a deposit, once we receive the remainder of their order, it can help fund the ones down the road.
Right. Got it.
Because I'm not trying to make a profit on making the campers. I'd like to not lose my butt on it, but
sure, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I guess the goal in a way is you're not making a profit on this, but you don't want to lose the money, but you're trying to give back to the people that have already spent the money on it, right? Correct, you're trying to give them a camper that they've already paid for, but you're not trying to lose anything in the process of doing that.
Yeah. Since I have the know-how and the facility that can facilitate it. It's like, it's the hardest part is finding somebody that could actually make them without, going out of business in the process, trying to make a bunch of campers and just giving them away to people.
Right. So the best way that a listener can probably help you out is probably buy a t-shirt or buy some, some of the stuff that you guys make here at BAMF, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
Okay.
every sale would go towards that. I mean, t-shirt sales generate more funds directly to the fund.
Yeah.
But I mean, technically, like I said, if the order is big enough, it would be more than a t-shirt.
Sure.
Yeah, because
I
I mean,
understand
even
that.
if we're donating 5 or 6% per order,
Yeah.
it gets quite a bit on some of the orders because the orders they get expensive quick.
Right. I get that. Well, I need some sliders. I'm going to buy some sliders from you, and hopefully the percentage will go that direction. So we'll deal with that off air.
Yeah.
But I'm going to get some sliders from you today,
Nice.
or at least put me in the queue,
Yeah.
however it works out. Because my truck is not really off-road ready, and I'm embarrassed about that.
Yeah. I mean, well, a set of rock sliders will get you quite a few different places.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
And I had those aluminum stepped ones, and I cut off the steps.
Oh,
So it's just really like an aluminum can on the side of the truck. And it's actually everybody goes, those are really nice. And I go, yeah, but they're not functional. You know?
Yeah.
If anything touches it,
They're
dents.
functional one time.
Yeah, right. 100%. So how can other people find you, get a hold of you? How can people, help you out and all that? So why don't you give us some info?
Yeah, I mean, you can find us bayareametalfab.com. I mean, we're on Instagram, Bay Area Metal Fab. I mean, all the social networks is Bay Area Metal Fab. It's kind of hard to not find that one. It's just it's a long name, but we kept it shorter.
Yeah. I searched BAMF for the other
That
day.
works too. It depends on your filter within the search engine, what you're going to get when you type in that. But if you're in the automotive realm, usually if you type out BAMF, we will show up on the first or second page. Yeah.
There you go. Perfect.
Yeah, and then half of our competitors that sponsor it, that hashtag.
Right. Yeah, there you go. I'll put all the links down in the description. I'll go onto the website. I'll find that t-shirt, and I'll throw that link down in the description for everybody. So if you want to help out, help the people in the community get their campers, you can just go on there and you can click these links, see what's available, buy a t-shirt. All of these, this once again is coming full circle where, Jerry here is helping the community because he did it a few years ago and here he is doing it again. And I just wanted to really share this because it's happening right now, which is crazy.
Really right now.
Yeah. I mean, I think like you said, within 10 days, here we are talking about it.
We don't even have a full list of everybody involved yet.
Right. So maybe if somebody's listening,
exactly.
and you have an order out there, you're going to have to prove it somehow, but contact, Bay Area Metal Fab and let them know what's going on, and that you're in this boat and you need some help. So I appreciate it. That everything you're doing for the community. I really wanted to share this out there because I think that you're helping out and you're being selfless in this act and you're really just trying to do the right thing.
Yeah.
And you have the opportunity to, and you have an amazing facility here and some, amazing helpers here that can make this happen. And it's just awesome to see the community coming together to help out the people that are missing out.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I mean, that was a big reason why I was, so quick to just be like, I don't even care what the situation is. Let's make this happen.
Yeah.
No matter what. I mean, there's this guy's got multiple lawsuits against him and I just jump in here to try to save the day and potentially have people chasing me with pitchforks and
right. Yeah. So maybe it's too early to know, but is the camper going to be a future product of Bay Area Metal Fab, or is this
that I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. That I don't know.
Yeah. We'll see how the first 50 go or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. We'll see how this process, treats me. I'm already bald, so I can only lose so much hair.
Right. You got a good beard going, so
I got to keep something.
Totally. Well, I really appreciate your time. Thanks for joining me, and thanks for everything you're doing in the community. Do you have any final words for the community out there? It can be, blessings or wise words or whatever. Do you have anything to say?
I mean, I just wanted to thank everybody that is knowing of what this situation is. It's like everybody comes together so quickly. You can see how quick a community comes together.
Yeah.
It's about all I got on that one.
That works. And with that, my friends, keep crawling. It is kind of weird to stand here and tell a joke to nobody, but I do have one for you. Did you hear about the guy who lost his left side of his body? He's all right.